Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of the Severance finale, The We Are. This was directed by Ben Stiller and written by creator Dan Erickson. Now, before I jump into my spoiler review, make sure to also check out my interview with Milchick himself, Tramell Tillman. It was a really good time. We're talking all about the finale and the season as a whole. It's spoilers, so you should definitely watch that after this review or before. I don't care, but please check it out. So I am splitting this review into 3 parts, like we literally see with the imagery in the beginning of the episode where we see Mark, Helly, and Irving. I'm going to start with everything going on with Helly, then we'll jump into Irving and finish off with Mark. So Helly wakes up at the gala. So we've all been waiting for this all season to see what's really going on with the Audi version of Helly. We learned she is Helena Egan, and a lot of people obviously predicted she was an Egan. I was saying she definitely works at Lumen, so I think everyone kind of knew this was coming, but it's still a great reveal and exciting to see, and I love how they revealed it, and that she's with Natalie, and she's like, you're on in 20, so it's already developing tension really well that she knows she has to make a speech soon as Audi Helly, and it's just surreal watching the innie Helly seeing who she is on the outside, the horror of it all, that you're realizing you're the devil, basically. And isn't this sci-fi at its best? Feeling the shock of your character you've grown attached to, as we have now seeing who she really is. And knowing that she is the daughter of the current CEO, James Egan, is really crazy. Because when I saw that, I went back and watched episode 3, and you see that when she sees this statue of James, Helly literally does a double take, and they really keep it on her face in her reaction to that. I love little things like that. It was such a big hint that there was a connection there. So definitely check out that scene again in episode 3. So this is also the first time Helena really was supposed to meet the senator and Gabby, and it's now Helly meeting them. And what is crazy about this is the way Gabby talks about having 3 kids now, and she can't believe someone would even say severance is a bad thing. Now, what's crazy about this is you're realizing that Gabby is using severance in the sense of avoiding the pain of childbirth, and she's putting any Gabby through that. And that's why Annie Gabby had a different name for the baby, right? That's what Devin had seen. So it's cruel. It's another way. The act of severance is cruel on this other version of yourself. Gabby's literally torching another version of herself, just like Helly is. And it's showing you how messed up this can be. And it's like, justice for Annie Gabby here. Come on now. You think that the MDR department employees got it bad. Think about for Annie Gabby that she's just experiencing the pain of childbirth, doesn't even get to name her child, and it keeps happening. Just awful. And then you see now that Helly's seeing all the photos on display of their department and of her, and it says Helly, a severed story. It really again speaks to how these companies work that we see in life today, and like, oh, voted best place to work and all these happy faces, and you're not seeing what's really going on. So that was just so powerful and really effective. And man, shout out Milchick. He takes great photos, gets those great moments, and I just love this whole thing with her seeing it. It felt very Westworld again. Just the color palette of all the Helly scenes felt Westworld, but also the music and the piano going on. So I really like that. It's not a bad show to draw inspiration from, for sure. Well, season 1 at least. And when we're seeing Helena here talking on the clip about growing up in Egan and having the 9 principles read to her at night before bed, saying she wasn't crazy about that, but she's learned to embrace those principles. She's also saying that she wouldn't do anything that she wouldn't do herself, and she's actually perfect person to say that because she actually severs herself and does what her workers do. And she's saying, I don't think severance divides us. I think it brings us together. Just this cringe stuff she's saying makes her so unlikable, but it is fascinating that we're going to learn more about Helena and how much she actually agrees with the principles. Sure, we see that on the outside. She is part of the machine, but there has to be something deep down that was a little bit resistant to it because it's coming out in her innie version. So it's really fascinating, too, when Helly meets her Audi's father, James Egan, the current CEO, and he's like, are you still in pain? I cried in bed when they told me what she tried to do to you, talking about, Helly herself. And he's like, the grandfather would cherish what you have done. Speaking of Keir Egan here, and shout out the actor of Keir Egan, Mark Geller. He reached out to me on Instagram. He is a fan of the channel and the reviews, so really cool. And I love this line where he's like, I remember I brought home to you the first chip, the prototype, blue and green lights. You said, it's so pretty, Daddy. Everyone in the whole world should get one. And he's like, they will because of you. They will all be Keir's children. And that's what's crazy is then after this, Helly looks into the mirror and basically recites like what you would see the act of contrition, in confession, basically that version of it for Lumen, which we saw in the break room. She's reciting that apology again. And I feel like to her, it's just a motivating tool here, self-motivation to get back at these people for the torture she put her through. And you see Natalie says to Helly here, use the line how you see your innie as your sister. They'll love that. And Natalie is just that classic spokesperson for some corrupt corporation like this, right? Where she's like, with all transformative technology, there's some bumps in the road. Yeah, just little bumps, right? Like, come on. And you see when Harmony shows up here to Helly, and Helly goes, I'm going to kill your company. And that's when Harmony's like, your company? Who the hell do you think you are? So, she can't talk down to Helena, but she can sure talk down to Helly. And she's like, your friends will suffer. Mark will suffer. You'll be long gone, but we'll keep them alive in pain. Just awful stuff here from Harmony. Just really evil. And again, even though she combats with the company Lumen, she always is a backer of Kier's values. And I just love how Helly, when she goes to make her speech, enters through a cube that has her face on it, and it opens up showing the Severance there. Nice touch, production designers. And she's saying to the whole crowd, I'm actually an innie, I'm Helly R, everything they told you about Severance is a lie, we're not happy, we're miserable. So Natalie's face drops completely, and she's like, they torture us down there, we're prisoners, and this is where actually Natalie's the one who tackles her off the stage, exactly edited perfectly between Milchick tackling Dylan. I really like that, and that's where we're kind of leave off where Helly's going to be triggered back into Helena next season. So really cool stuff with the Helly storyline. I think I enjoyed that the most in this episode. It was just surreal to see this whole gala going on and learning more about Helena and her ways in real life and, how much she's behind all of this. And like I said, it's just brilliant sci-fi to see Helly being the one who's learning all this about herself outside. So we'll jump now to Irving, right? Irving sees all his paintings, these black paintings that we know with the black paint that he has visions of at work. And Ace of Spades is playing, and he meets his dog Radar. But we also see there's Navy medals hung up on the wall, and I'm assuming they're his, but they could all just be his father's, so we're not totally sure he's in the Navy, but I'm gonna guess he is, like his dad was. And he finds a trunk with his dad's Navy uniform, a picture of him. But where it gets really interesting is under that, he's clearly hiding blueprints of Lumen and a severed employees list. And what's important about that is that he has notes on this list that says things like tried to make contact or divorce, no kids. And he's like, who else is 58? And he also has on this map of the town of Kier, he marks locations of employees on that list. So to me, Irving either was someone investigating Lumen who wanted to go into the inside of this, or he was someone who was like Mark getting intel that something was off, what was happening to him in general at Lumen, and he was going and finding out what's going on. He's clearly hiding it because he's still in this area of Kier. But you're also seeing, too, he has an article of a severed worker named Dalton Emery who is suing Lumen for injury. And he said that on the way home from work, his left hand begun to throb violently, it says in the article. We have seen this happen with Mark. Mark looks at his hands and it starts shaking. And what's crazy is former employee Dalton is saying that it cut off his sensations in his hand. That would just be like turning on an elevator. He can't feel it. So this is fascinating, and it's showing you there's graver consequences like what happened to Petey with the side effects of Severance, and that Mark is starting to already experience them. It's only going to get worse. Now what he's looking for on this map is Britt, right? And where he lives and all this to go see him. And it's so great and fascinating, again, the stuff they can do with the innies and the outies and what happens when Irving's innie is in the real world. Again, that's the real feeling like he's a kid because he doesn't know how to drive a car and what really goes on with that. So it's a great job by John Turturro showing that in his face. And I like that his license plate had a little picture of Kier on it. And yeah, it's just so funny. It's like crazy watching him trying to figure out how to just drive. But what's crazy is when he gets to Bert's, he sees he's with another man and he goes to slam the door. But what's the good news of this is that Britt is alive. He wasn't just killed when he retired. That could still happen. Maybe that's why he's screaming on the door to warn him. But we'll see. It's a great point to leave off with Irving. So where the true suspense of this episode happens is with Mark's story, because he is literally with Harmony. So when he's snapping back into any Mark, he's getting slapped in the face with seeing it's Miss Cobell at the party for some reason. He's learning that he has a sister who he first thinks is his wife because he makes a comment about the baby, which I thought was great. And he's like, how's our baby? And I love we get to meet Rick's sister, Rebecca. not Rebecca. And she says a line, I have sores on the back of my head from my bird. You might see them. So funny. Like, everything with Rickon is great. And now we get to introduce to his sister who's just as funny. And I love that Rickon just has literally paintings of himself in his house. Just hysterical. And we see Rickon has other books on the table. The only title we really get a glimpse of is Dr. Rickon's Wisdom. So I'd love to hear about more of these books he's written. But I love that Any Mark is like a fanboy of Rickon, that this guy's like an idol to him, right? This book saved his life in Lumen, so it's fascinating to see him literally go up like a fan to him when he literally says, Mr. Hale, Rickon. Like, literally first approaching him like this hero to him. I thought that was great, and it's shocking to Rickon because it's such a great contrast to Outie Mark, who doesn't take Rickon's whole shtick seriously, but Any Mark loves it. And I love the line Rickon has here. He's like, I don't know when my voice gets like that. I sound like a sad old hamburger waiter. I just laughed out loud at that. Man, he's gold. And we see now there's all the suspense through the scenes with Mark because he's trying to have the talk with Devin, keeps getting distracted. He's trying to see through Rickon more information, and he was about to show him a picture of Gemma. Doesn't happen yet that he sees a picture, but it will. But again, it's all just adds to great suspense in these scenes. And again, having harmony there. And I love the line where she's like, when you hugged me, you suddenly became tense. And then he says he'll be right back to her. And he says, thanks, Miss Cobell. So this was his huge mess up here. And that's when she figures it all out. She was already onto it, but this confirms it. So that just adds to this crazy suspense where the crazy fast piano's playing. Cobell's flying to the gala here, calling Milchek, telling Milchek what's going on, and Milchek literally books it to the security office. This was so intense, and he's trying to cut through the tie here that is on the door. And Dylan and him have a great moment here, again with some humor. They always sneak in, which is so great, where he's like, I bet the Tempers were disappointed, talking about the Tempers that were dancing in the waffle party. He's like, I can get you any perk you want, Dylan. Paintball and coffee cozy. So it's just crazy to hear that they even have Lumen paintball. But Zach Cherry really kills it here, saying the line, I want to remember my effing kid being born. But this is huge because then Milchek says, you have two others, I can tell you about them, which is just sad and crazy. And again, really great performances from the both of them here. And we'll see that Milchek's the one to tackle Dylan and causes everything to snap back. Now, I like this moment, too, that Mark does get to tell Devin about Lumen and to send inspectors, but she has a great idea to actually have journalists be the ones they tell because, you know, even the police are being corrupt with Lumen here. But I like they got the information here where Mark says, I just want to know why he put me in there. And she explains that he lost his wife. This was sad, touching, and surreal. And it was cool to see this. This felt so different for television, like this kind of situation, which is exciting. And getting to tell him that his wife is wonderful, Gemma, and that he didn't want to experience the pain of losing her. So what's great about this finale is there's so much information learned by our characters. And instead of producing a bunch of questions that can frustrate people, this finale answers a lot of things for us, but also it gets so much information to our main characters. They're literally learning about the outside world. So it's going to be interesting. It moves a plot along in that sense to set up for season 2 that could just be even crazier with them having this info now. Now, again, they always just throw in little humor in the show. It's so subtle, but it's brilliant. I love that the guy at the party is the one who finds the baby. And for some reason, when he finds it, he just wants to take all the credit. He's like, Devin, I found your child. I'm the one who found her. Like, that was just, again, in such a tense, serious moment, this, subtle humor happening in the background. I thought that was great. And that will lead to now Any Mark finds a wedding photo of him and Gemma, who to him is Miss Casey. And it leaves with this great cliffhanger where he runs in. He's like, she's live talking about Gemma. And that's right where he snaps back. So this cliffhanger is the complete opposite of the cliffhanger from the penultimate episode where it's reversed. So they're going to be snapped back to their outies to lead into season 2. So it also leaves a door to they could kind of open season 2, maybe a new character, different situation, a little bit of a time jump, and then go back to where we left off. There's so many things they can do here with this information being learned. I really hope Ben Stiller and Dan Erickson have a good outline of where this is going to go so it doesn't get lost, because this is such a big idea they're tackling. It's brilliant. I just hope there's an end game for this and doesn't frustrate people in the end and that they feel disappointed. But right now it's hitting it out of the park, and I have faith they do have a plan. I'm excited to see what they bring for season 2. So I am giving this finale a 9.8. It was the best episode of the season to me for sure. The only thing I would say, it kind of sucks. It was only 41 minutes. And the last 2 episodes are both, 41 minutes and the other one was 43. There is a part of me that wishes maybe they should have just made the finale one long episode combining those 2. But again, if they did, maybe there wouldn't be as much suspense as there was by having it separate. So again, I think it was a really solid finale. I think it just closed up this season really well and made you excited for season 2 while giving you enough answers to feel satisfied, but leaving you excited for what's to come. So let me know what you thought down below, and please make sure to check out my interview with Tramel Tillman, who plays Milchek. We talk all about what just happened in the whole season as a whole, and please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. And please subscribe because I do other shows, movie reviews as well, and I also do interviews, and it really helps me in so many ways you have no idea. I appreciate all you guys. I enjoyed watching this season with you, so I'd love to keep the conversation going down below, and let me know where you think season 2 might go, and again, what you would rate this finale. Until next time, I'll see you later.
I love you.